In this video, I'm going to show you how you can install the new Google Analytics 4 onto your website. All and more coming up. Hey there, Measure Geeks, Julian here, back with another video. Today, we're going to learn how we can install the new Google Analytics 4 onto your website. So without further ado, let's dive in right into our little demo here. So here I'm on my demo shop and I don't really have anything installed, as you can see in my Google Tag Assistant. We should add Google Analytics. So should we go through this? So in order to start this project, you obviously need to go over to analytics.google.com. If you don't have an account, you need a Google account to sign up. And then you are greeted with a little bit of this screen. If you already have a Google Analytics account, we won't be upgrading anything. We're just going to start out from scratch here. So you can start building your account. First of all, you need your Google Analytics account. These are usually your account details, such as your company. So let's say my company is called Demo Company. And then you have some provisions here for data sharing to Google. You can choose to support Google with this information or not. I'm just gonna click next here. And then you give a property name. And this is normally your website. So I'm just gonna go with demoshop.com. Don't forget to choose the right reporting time zone. This can be crucial. You want to choose a time zone that is where your server is or where your clients are mostly located. And Google Analytics will calculate certain things based on the time zone. So you should choose the right one. And then the currency, I usually use US dollars. And then we click. Oh, then we can choose to look at the advanced options. And here is a little setting. If you want to go back to the old Google Analytics, to Universal Analytics, and want to start a property in that realm, you can do so still by clicking here this button, and it will create a Universal Analytics property. I would actually say if you don't have Universal Analytics installed yet, you should have this first, at least in this beginning stages, because Google Analytics 4 is still quite new. Let's go next here and choose, well, there's some information, some business information that you can also choose to create. You have some terms of service that you need to accept, and we should be off to the races. Next step is to actually send data to our Google Analytics. And you have with Google Analytics 4 different opportunities to do so with an iOS app, an Android app, but also with web. And we're gonna obviously go with web right here because we want to track our website. And then we can choose our domain and give the stream a name. Could call it website or demo shop, something else. Then we get to the point of enhanced measurement. Now, when we install Google Analytics can track automatically for us things like page views, scrolls, outbound link clicks, and site search, video engagement, and file downloads. Now, this is new in Google Analytics 4. You can activate this, but you could also say, I don't want any of these tracked. We are just gonna go with the default here and create this stream. The next part is our, okay, I have never seen this before. I don't have a measurement ID here. Let me see if, no. That's funny. So it didn't give me a measurement ID. Never seen this before. This is still quite new, the system. So let me go to data streams again here and look at my data stream. And it says, no, it doesn't give me a measurement ID. Wow. Let me reload this whole analytics thing. And there's where my little live demo here, because we are live, falls apart maybe, because we don't get a measurement ID. Yes, now we get our measurement ID. And with this measurement ID, we are able to plug that into our website in order to track it. Now, there are different methods of installing this measurement ID and this measurement code. So we have tagging instructions down here. And depending on your case, you might want to use one or the other. I prefer Google Tag Manager, but for those of you who just want to install Google Analytics without any other functionality of any other tags like the Facebook pixel and so on, you might want to also look at the global site tag. This is a global script that you would normally give over to your developer to install in the head section of your website. To try this out, let's copy this code and go into our website, which is here. I have a WordPress blog running. Now, obviously, if you don't have a WordPress blog, that is not going to work. But in your website, you normally have access to some kind of code, the underlying code that is deployed on your website. And we in WordPress can go into Appearance here and then in the theme editor. And then I would recommend that you choose your child theme. So if you don't have a child theme in WordPress at least, then create one. And then you can go to the header PHP. Now this might be also different from your theme that you have running, but for me it works quite well. I can place this here under the meta information. Let's put our code right here. Then we can update our file. And this should now be successfully installed. Let's go back to our page and reload that. And we should see inside of our tag assistant, this is a little extension that you can install for Chrome. We have the global site tag now installed with G, EQ, and so on. So this should be installed correctly. And in Google Analytics, we might not see something right away. Let's see if we reload this. No information quite yet. Let's go into our reporting. And we obviously have the ability to go into the real-time reporting. This is where you could see something, but we also have the ability to go into our debug view. So here we would see in real time the hits that get sent over. And what can happen on the page itself as well is that, or this new technology of GA4 batches hits. So sometimes they don't get sent right away. It takes a moment to gather all the hits together and then send them on. So here right now, seems like it's not yet working as expected. Don't get any data. Sometimes you need to put your website into a special mode. And for that, you can either use another extension called the GA debugger. You could also do it inside of the tag assistant. There's also a functionality called GA debug. You can turn this on. And now let's see. We open up the developer tools. Nope, I don't get any information. Okay, let's use the GA debugger. Another extension. This will log some information about what was sent over to Google Analytics inside of our JavaScript developer console. And that way we'll be able to see what gets sent over. That seems to work. And once you install this GA debugger and activate the debug mode, it should automatically put our tag or our Google Analytics into this mode. And we still don't see anything. So here we go. This is the crux of a live demo. I wouldn't say that this is normal, but at the same time, it can take some while till Google Analytics instance is ready to receive data. So I wouldn't sweat it and maybe come back in a few hours. When we look at our installation here in the tag assistant, it seems like Google Analytics is correctly installed. Invalid or missing account ID, non-standard implementation. Okay. Go back to the admin here. We have installed our tag. Let's see here. We now need to connect our site tag. So you need to still connect your tag to your... No, we have our tag connected. That should be properly connected. Let me take my measurement ID here. Okay. So one is now connected. Let's reload this. Let's reload this. Nope. Let's go into the debug menu. Also no data. So I'm just looking in the chat here, and Valdemar says that it takes a long time to load. Install it on a website, only 24 hours later they appeared. So yeah, that was my fear, that this live demo wouldn't actually work in that sense. Let me see what the tag assistant now says. It just gives me these errors that don't mean much. I would say that it's now installed correctly, but who knows? Yeah, we have one viewer, and the debug view still shows nothing. Real-time view. Yeah, we have one person from Berlin. That's me. So I'm not sure why the debug view doesn't show my information, but apparently now it's tracking correctly. And when we go from page to page, we hopefully would see, we can actually go to view user snapshot. And since there's only one user on the page, that's me, we would see all the interactions that get sent over. So we have a page view here. You can look at the events that get sent over. And for example, the properties, like which page we are currently on. Well, this is the page view from before. And again, this view might not always reflect exactly what is happening right now, because these hits are batched, and it might take some time for the system to catch up when the hits get sent. So let me just see here if we can generate a bit more hits. No, it doesn't want it to happen. Okay, takes a while, and that's something we would need to get used to when we are working with GA4, that we won't be able to exactly see what is happening in the moment at this time. So this is the first method of installing Google Analytics, and you could be set here already and have it installed on your website, which in this case is a WordPress website. Now, obviously, I prefer the second way of doing things, which was Google Tag Manager. So how do you do this with Google Tag Manager? Let's go back into data streams here and actually use our measurement ID again to this time use Google Tag Manager to deploy this tag. So for now, I'm going to go back into my backend and delete our global site tag that we had installed here on the header PHP. Oops. Right here. Is that all? No, that's all. Let's save this, and obviously right now we won't be seeing any Google Analytics being installed. So instead we want to do this with Google Tag Manager. If you are not yet familiar with Google Tag Manager, it's a tool to deploy multiple of tags or marketing tags, like these little JavaScript codes, onto your page with a visual interface like we have right here. And it is quite useful when it comes to tracking customization. So if you want to do anything specific via certain tags on certain pages, Google Tag Manager is the way to go, especially if you have multiple of these marketing tags, like from Facebook, AdWords, Google Analytics, or other vendors that are out there. All you need to do is install on your page a little script code one time in the head and the body section. So we're gonna go ahead and just swap this out, what we had before. This goes beneath the opening body tag. Let's save this. And on our page, we should now see that we have Google Tag Manager installed. Now, nothing happens right now because Google Tag Manager is not a tracking tool, it's a tag management tool. And there we can now deploy our tools through that system. So for Google Analytics, we can simply go to our tags here, or new tag, and under the tag configurations, we have all these different templates for these different vendors available. There's also one for Google Analytics 4. And the first tag that we want to install is the Google Analytics 4 configuration. So click here, and then all we need to do is enter our measurement ID. Well, that didn't copy. Let's go back here, get the measurement ID, put it into our field, and then we can choose to send over a page view already, because this is actually a configuration tag. It combines all the configurations that you might want to do to your Google Analytics 4, at least on the measurement side, and ports them over to all the tags that come afterwards. So here we can say where we store our measurement ID, and we want to also send over page view information. This is really all that you need to do in order to replicate the functionality that we had before inside of GA4 with the global site tag. So I'm going to give this a name, and we're going to fire this on page view. And then the trigger is going to be our standard trigger that we have always available. It's all pages, because then Google Analytics will be installed on all the pages of our website where we at least have this Google Tag Manager code installed, which should be all the front-facing pages of our website. Okay, now that we have this installed, we can actually try it out. And this is another big advantage of Google Tag Manager. We can go into the preview mode, which will put our browser and only our browser into a special mode. We need to connect this preview mode to our website. And then the tags that are inside of Google Tag Manager will be deployed only on our browser. You can see that the debugger is now connected. And when we go back to this tab here, we see that it's connected and all the things that are happening in the background of Google Tag Manager. One thing that we saw, or that we can see here, is that on the container loaded event, our GA4 config tag fired and should be sending data over to Google Analytics. We can also see inside of our tag assistant here. Yep, that should have fired our global site tag. I'm not sure why this is showing twice. It's probably just a mistake inside of the tag assistant. And data should be going over to Google Analytics. Let's see again inside of our debug view. Nothing here. Real time. Here we go. We have a person. That would be me. And what was the last event? What time is it now? No, that cannot be it. Let's click around a little bit more on the website itself and hope that it will dispatch some of these hits that get sent in batch sometimes. Nothing just yet. Yeah, one user. Ah, here we go. There was another interaction. No, it doesn't want to give me that data. Here it says there's one user 1 minute ago. This is the page. Am I on this page right now? No. Yeah, this doesn't make for a very good episode, but at least you can see that these are the troubles that you sometimes run into. I would say that Google Analytics Google Analytics 4 as a new system isn't quite as responsive as we are used to it from Universal Analytics quite yet. So we might need to wait for some data to come in and see if we can see any kind of activity in the system to make sure it actually works. Now there is a little, here's a page view that came in. Is that me? Let's see, page location. Yes, that is me. So we can see that it's installed correctly and sending data over. So with that in mind, we can now confirm, okay, this was sent over. By the way, you have the ability in this Tag Assistant preview mode to also see what has been dispatched as a hit to Google Analytics. And it says here no hits were dispatched, which is hard to believe because we have data that got sent over. Okay, yeah, there's always sometimes a bit of a mystery around the debugging still that we all need to be aware of when working with Google Analytics 4. So not as straightforward as you can see tell you in this demo to install Google Analytics 4, but as we have seen in some instances, there's data being sent over. That would tell me that the tracking code is correctly installed and it's now tracking data for us. And this data that we've seen before inside of our debug mode here, but also when we have it now on multiple users, so if I set this live, it should show me more data. In order to do so, you can go ahead and let's disconnect our debug mode here and go back to our page of our Google Tag Manager. And then we can submit this as a version, because what we have implemented inside of Google Tag Manager is not yet live on the website. So not all the users would have this, or not any of the users would have these changes applied live to the website, which is a security feature as well as a best practice from web development to actually keep track of a version so you can go back in time if something goes wrong in your tracking deployment. So we can go ahead and submit this now as a version, give this a name. And then we are ready to publish this. And now any user that would go to the demo shop would be tracked by Google Analytics 4. All right, so this video was a little bit longer than I expected, but this is how it goes with live demos. If you like this video, then please give us a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel right over there, because we bring you new videos just like this one every week. Now, my name is Julian. Till next time.